The jungle was alive with strange whispers. Thick vines hung low like ropes, glowing plants pulsed faint light, and mist crawled along the ground. Every step crunched on wet leaves, echoing like a warning. The human explorer kept his flashlight, steady, its beam cutting through the endless green shadows. He had walked many worlds, but this jungle felt different. It felt alive in a way that made his skin crawl. He stopped. The silence was heavy, broken only by the soft drip of water from moss-covered trees. Then it came, a sound that did not belong, a faint cry. It was high-pitched, fragile, like a child's voice. The explorer froze, every nerve tight. On alien planets, voices were not always what they seemed. Some predators lured prey with perfect imitations, yet this voice carried something different. It trembled with fear. It shook with sadness. He listened carefully. Again, the cry came, thin and distant, drifting through the mist. His grip tightened on the flashlight. His instincts screamed danger. His training said turn back. But his heart told him to move forward. Slowly, step by step, he followed the sound. The jungle grew darker. Giant leaves brushed against his arms, dripping cold dew. Strange flowers opened as he passed, releasing sparks of light like tiny stars. Far away, something growled low, deep enough to rattle his chest. He did not stop. The crying voice grew clearer. It led him to a clearing where moonlight broke through the canopy. In the center was a mossy stone, shaped like a broken egg, and there, sitting on top, was a small figure. The explorer's breath caught. It was a girl, or at least, it looked like one. She was tiny, no taller than a human child. Her hair shimmered silver blue, glowing faintly in the mist. Her skin was pale as porcelain, her eyes wide and wet with tears. Two delicate ears pointed from her head, sharp and long, catching the moonlight like glass. She wore a simple dress, torn at the edges, and around her neck hung a golden pendant that glowed with soft light. She sat with her knees pulled close, bare feet tucked under her, hands folded tightly in her lap. Her shoulders shook as she cried. The sound was not a trick. It was real. The human stayed at the edge of the clearing, his flashlight low. His mind raced. Was she alone? Was this a trap? Every shadow in the trees seemed to move, every sound felt like a hunter watching. But his eyes locked on the girl. She looked fragile, lost, and utterly helpless. He stepped forward. The crunch of leaves under his boot made her head snap up. Her glowing eyes widened in fear. She pressed her hands against the pendant as if it could protect her. The explorer raised his free hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. His voice was calm, steady. "I will not hurt you." The girl blinked, her lips trembling. Her voice came soft, broken. You are human." The sound of that word from her mouth sent a shiver down his spine. How could she know his kind? "Yes," he answered. "And you? Who are you?" She lowered her head, her silver hair falling over her face. "I am lost. I cannot find my people." Her small voice cracked, and fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. "The jungle took them. I am alone." The explorer felt a weight in his chest. He looked around the misty clearing. The jungle did not just look alive. It felt like it was listening. The air itself pressed against him, heavy and watchful. He could not explain why, but he knew her words were true. He crouched slowly to her level. "Where are your people? Maybe I can help you." Her hands tightened around the pendant. The golden glow pulsed as if it had a heartbeat. She shook her head. "They are gone. The jungle wants me. It will not let me go." Her words were strange, but her fear was real. Suddenly, the jungle answered. A branch cracked in the distance. Leaves shifted though no wind blew. The mist swirled thick, curling like fingers around the clearing. The girl's breath hitched, and she pressed closer to the pendant. The explorer felt his pulse quicken. He raised his flashlight and swept the beam through the trees. For a moment, he saw something, shadows moving, too large to be human, too silent to be natural. Eyes flashed briefly in the dark before disappearing. The girl whispered, "It is here, the—" Human stood quickly, his hand near his weapon. The jungle seemed to lean closer, the mist rising higher, wrapping around them both. He realized then that the cry he had followed was not just a sound of sorrow. It was also a beacon. Something else had heard it too. The girl looked at him, her eyes desperate, pleading. "Do not leave me, please!" The explorer felt his throat tighten. He was alone on a hostile world, facing something he could not yet see. Every survival instinct told him to run, to leave her behind. But humanity was not built on fear. He could not walk away from those eyes, from that voice. He took a deep breath, gripping his flashlight tight. "I will not leave you," he said, firmly. In that moment, the jungle roared to life. The trees groaned as if bending under some invisible force. Strange creatures shrieked in the distance. The mist thickened, and shadows shifted all around. The girl clutched the pendant, its glow brightening as if in answer. The human stood between her and the dark, ready for what would come. The cry in the jungle had led him here. Now it would decide both their fates. The jungle did not sleep. Every sound echoed like a warning. Every shadow seemed alive. The human explorer stood with his light in hand, body tense, ready to face whatever stalked. Them in the mist. The small alien girl still sat on the mossy stone, her silver hair glowing faintly as she clutched the pendant close to her chest. Her wide eyes followed him with a mix of fear and hope. The silence stretched too long. Then a branch cracked, closer, this time. Something was moving around them, circling. The explorer felt his skin prickle. He swept his flashlight across the thick undergrowth, but the mist swallowed the beam before it could reveal anything. He turned to the girl. "We cannot stay here," he said in a firm voice. "It is not safe." She looked down, her thin shoulders trembling. "I cannot walk far," she whispered. Her voice shook with weakness, as though she had been crying for hours. The human crouched down again, searching her face. She looked delicate, smaller than she had first appeared, as if the jungle itself had drained her strength. She hugged her, knees tightly, bare feet pressed against the cold moss. "Listen," he said, softer now. "If you stay here, whatever is hunting us will find you. If you come with me, maybe we have a chance." Her lips trembled. She lifted the pendant slightly, showing its glow. "They want this. The jungle knows I carry it. That is why I cannot go home." The human frowned. He had seen relics, devices, even weapons from lost alien civilizations. But never had he seen something like this, a simple pendant glowing with the rhythm of a heartbeat. Its light was soft, yet powerful, as if it carried a secret inside it. "What is it?" he asked. The girl shook her head, eyes glistening with tears. "It is all that remains of my people. Without it, I am nothing. With it, I am hunted." The explorer studied her, torn between questions and the growing danger. He did not understand her words, not fully, but he understood fear. And he knew he could not leave her. He reached out his hand. "Come with me," he said. She stared at his hand for a long moment, as though unsure if she could trust him. Then, slowly, she placed her small fingers in his. Her hand was cold, trembling, but real. He helped her down from the stone, steadying her as her bare feet touched the damp earth. The jungle reacted at once. A low growl rolled through the trees, deep and guttural. The mist swirled harder, as if alive. The girl pressed close to him, her pendant glowing brighter, and the explorer knew they had been marked. They moved quickly through the jungle. His flashlight cut narrow tunnels of light, revealing giant ferns, twisting roots, and flowers that opened and closed as he passed. Strange insects with wings of glass buzzed in the air, their hum sharp enough to sting the ears. The girl kept close, her small hand gripping his tightly. She said little, only breathing fast, her wide eyes scanning the shadows. The human noticed how she seemed to know the jungle's rhythm, tilting her head as if listening to whispers in the mist. "Do you know the way out?" he asked as they moved. She shook her head. "The jungle changes. Paths never stay. It keeps me here." Her words chilled him. He had seen alien environments before, hostile worlds where nature itself was a predator. But this was different. This jungle seemed to bend around her presence, as though she was both prisoner and key. They pressed on. The cries of unseen creatures echoed from behind. The sound of claws on bark scraped too close. He tightened his grip on her hand, pulling her faster. At last they stumbled into another clearing. The moonlight broke stronger here, falling on an ancient structure half buried in vines. Stone pillars rose crooked from the earth, carved with patterns that glowed faintly when the girl stepped near. She gasped, eyes wide with recognition. "This place," she whispered. "It belonged to my people." The explorer studied the carvings. They pulsed with the same golden light as her pendant. He felt the air shift, heavy with meaning, as though the ruins themselves had been waiting for her return. She stepped closer to one of the pillars, her fingers brushing the glowing lines. The pendant around her neck flared, casting brighter light. Across the clearing, symbols lit up in response, crawling across the stone like fire. The human felt his heart race. This was not just a ruin, it was alive, just like the jungle, and it responded to her. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the air. From the tree line, shapes moved, tall, insect-like predators with blades for limbs, eyes gleaming with hunger. Their bodies were black and glistening, their movements too fast for their size. The girl froze in terror, clutching the pendant to her chest. "They found me," she whispered. The explorer stepped in front of her, raising his weapon. His voice was steady, hard. "Stay behind me." The creatures stepped closer, their mandibles clicking, their eyes reflecting the pendant's glow. The jungle had released its hunters. The game was no longer about escape. It was survival. The girl's pendant pulsed brighter, almost blinding now. The predators hissed in response, as if drawn to its light. She cried out, covering it with her hands. "It calls to them. I cannot—" "Stop it!" The explorer gritted his teeth. His finger tightened on the trigger. He did not know why this tiny alien girl carried such power or why the jungle wanted her. But he knew one thing. Humanity never abandoned the helpless. And tonight, in this cursed jungle, he would fight. The air was heavy with fear. The insect creatures stepped out of the mist, their sharp limbs glistening, their bodies clicking with hunger. Their eyes locked on the glowing pendant the alien girl clutched tight. The human explorer raised his weapon, flashlight beam cutting across their strange armored skin. The first creature screeched and lunged forward, blades slicing through the air. The human fired. The blast struck its chest, throwing it back into the vines. But another creature stepped over its twitching body without hesitation. More eyes appeared in the shadows, glinting like cold stars. "Run!" the explorer shouted. The girl stumbled at first, but he pulled her hand, dragging her into the trees. The jungle exploded with noise. Shrill cries echoed all around, branches cracking under the weight of unseen hunters. The mist shifted like living smoke, hiding the predators, then revealing them again. They ran through roots and tangled vines. The girl's breath came in quick gasps, her silver hair flying behind her. The explorer kept his grip on her small hand, forcing his legs to move faster, his eyes always searching for a way out. Behind them, the creatures gave chase. Their limbs slashed through the plants, cutting paths where none existed. Their bodies made no sound on the ground, only the click of blades and the hiss of breath. The girl whispered in terror as they ran. "The jungle does not let go. It will hunt us until we fall." The human said nothing. Words would not help now. Only action. He swung his flashlight across the path, and for a moment he saw a gap in the trees ahead. He pushed toward it, heart hammering. But the jungle fought back. Thick vines dropped suddenly from above, curling like snakes. One wrapped around his arm, pulling him sideways. He tore it free with a growl, firing his weapon into the vines until they recoiled. The girl clung to his side, her pendant glowing, brighter with each step. The predators hissed louder in answer, chasing the light. The explorer realized the glow was both a beacon and a curse. "We must hide it," he said, panting. She shook her head, clutching the pendant tighter. "If I hide it, I will fade. It keeps me alive." The human grit his teeth. That explained why the jungle wanted her so badly. The pendant was not just a relic, it was her lifeline. The clearing ahead opened at last, but it offered no safety. The ground dropped away into a deep ravine, mist swirling at the bottom. The only way forward was a narrow bridge of fallen trees, slick with moss and unstable. The explorer did not hesitate. He lifted the girl into his arms and ran onto the log bridge. The wood groaned under his weight, the surface slippery beneath his boots. Below, the ravine seemed endless, a pit of shadows and whispers. The girl hid her face in his chest, trembling. "They are coming!" He glanced back. The creatures were already at the edge of the clearing, their blades slicing the air, their eyes locked on him. One leapt onto the bridge, its sharp legs digging into the wood. The log shook violently. The explorer balanced himself, firing his weapon one-handed. The shot tore into the creature, but its body clung stubbornly, refusing to fall. More began to climb onto the bridge behind it. The log shuddered as if ready to snap. The human pushed forward, his muscles burning. Every step felt like it could be the last. The girl's pendant glowed brighter, casting golden light into the mist below. The ravine seemed to awaken, voices whispering from the depths. Finally, his boots hit solid ground on the other side. He turned quickly, aiming at the bridge. He fired 3 shots in quick bursts, striking the log until it cracked and split apart. The creatures shrieked as the bridge collapsed, their bodies tumbling into the ravine below. The jungle fell silent again. The human lowered the girl gently to her feet. She stared at him with wide eyes, her small body shaking. "You saved me," she whispered. He caught his breath, wiping sweat from his brow. "We are not safe yet. They will return." The girl lowered her head, the pendant still glowing softly. "They never stop. The jungle will send more." Her words proved true. Even as she spoke, the mist thickened again, curling between the trees. Far away, more cries rose, echoing in the distance. The jungle's hunt was endless. The explorer looked at the girl, then at the forest stretching ahead. He had a choice. Keep running blindly or find a way to turn the jungle's game against itself. "Is there anywhere safe?" he asked her. She hesitated, then nodded weakly. "There is one place, a sanctuary of my people, but the path is dangerous. No one has walked it for many seasons." "Show me," he said firmly. The girl pointed deeper into the jungle. Her pendant pulsed in answer, as if guiding the way. Together they moved forward again, this time not as a lost human and a helpless alien, but as 2 fugitives bound by survival. The jungle roared behind them, but neither looked back. The chase had only begun. The jungle grew darker as they pressed deeper into its heart. The mist followed them like a ghost, wrapping around roots and trees, whispering with every step. The human explorer led the way, his flashlight beam cutting narrow paths of light. Behind him, the tiny alien girl walked with her head lowered, clutching the glowing pendant that pulsed against her chest. For a long time, neither spoke. The silence was broken only by the crunch of leaves underfoot and the distant cries of hunters, who never stopped searching. But the human knew the girl carried answers he needed. The jungle was not chasing her without reason. At last he stopped in a clearing where twisted roots curled into arches above the ground, forming a natural shelter. He turned to her, his voice steady but firm. "You know why they want you. You know why this jungle will not let you go. Tell me the truth." The girl looked up slowly, her violet eyes glowing faint in the dark. Her lips trembled. For a moment she seemed ready to stay silent. But then she lifted the pendant in her small hands, its golden light shining brighter. "This is not only a pendant," she said softly. "It is the heart of my people. We were called Elyari. Long ago we ruled this world and many others. We built cities of light. We spoke with the stars. But we were betrayed. Hunters came. They destroyed everything. My people fell, one by one. Only I was carried away." Her voice cracked, and her small fingers tightened around the pendant. "The crystal holds our memory, our knowledge, our power. If it is lost, then the Elyari are gone forever." The human listened carefully. Her words were simple, but the weight behind them was heavy. He looked at the jungle around them, the strange trees, the glowing plants, the whispers in the mist. It was as if the whole world carried the memory of her lost race, now twisted into something hostile. He crouched to her level, meeting her eyes. "So you are the last," she nodded. "The last child. I was hidden when the hunters came. But the jungle remembers. It wants the heart back. It will never stop." The human felt a chill. She was not only a lost child, she was the final spark of a people who once touched the stars. The crystal she carried was not a simple treasure. It was a weapon, a key, maybe even a seed of rebirth. He stood slowly, his gaze sweeping the mist. "Then the jungle is not only after you, it is after what you carry. If it takes it, everything you told me ends here." The girl's voice grew even softer. "That is why I cried. I knew no one would come. But you did." The human clenched his jaw. He had faced dangers before. He had fought for survival on hostile worlds, but this was different. This was a choice that mattered beyond his own life. He could walk away, leave her to her fate, and no one would ever know. Or he could stand with her, fight for her, and carry the weight of her people. Before he could answer, the jungle struck again. The ground trembled. Roots burst from the earth like serpents, twisting and snapping. The mist thickened until the air turned white. From the trees came the hunters once more. The insect creatures, their bodies crawling with hunger, their blades shining in the light of the pendant. The girl screamed and clutched the crystal. It pulsed violently, sending waves of light across the clearing. The creatures shrieked as the glow struck them, stumbling backward. But they did not fall. They wanted it more. The human pulled the girl behind him, weapon raised. "Stay close," he ordered. The creatures advanced, slow but certain. Their mandibles clicked, their claws scraped across the roots. The girl whispered in terror, "They will not stop. They are bound to the jungle. They will chase us until one of us dies." The human fired, striking one through the chest. It fell in sparks of blood, but two more stepped over it. He pulled the girl through the arch of roots, forcing her into the deeper forest. They ran again, chased by screeches and the sound of blades cutting wood. At last, after what felt like endless running, the trees opened to reveal a strange sight. Rising from the earth was a tower of stone, half broken but still glowing faintly with golden lines. The girl gasped, falling to her knees. "The sanctuary," she whispered. "It survived. The tower's walls were carved with spirals of light, the same patterns that covered the ruins they had seen before. The pendant in her hand pulsed wildly, answering the tower like a voice calling home. The human pulled her forward, but the girl resisted, her eyes wide with awe. "If we enter, the sanctuary will awaken. It will show you the truth of what I am. But once it does, the jungle will come with all its power." The human gripped her shoulder, steady and unshaken. "Then let it come. Better to know the truth than die in silence." She nodded slowly. Together they stepped into the tower's broken doorway. The moment they crossed the threshold, the walls blazed with light. Golden streams flowed across the stone like rivers of fire. The air hummed with energy, and the pendant shone brighter than ever. The girl's eyes glowed in response. Her small frame lifted slightly as if the light carried her. The human shielded his eyes, watching in awe. For the first time, he saw her not as a child, but as something greater. A vessel of memory. A living key. Her voice echoed through the chamber, stronger than before. "I am Eliari. I am the last, and this world will not claim me." The jungle howled outside, shaking the tower to its roots. The hunters screamed in fury, blades clashing against the stone walls. The human raised his weapon, his heart pounding, ready for the final storm. The secret was out. The girl was no longer only a lost child. She was the last hope of a people, and the jungle would not rest until she was taken. The tower shook like a drum. The walls glowed with fire-like veins, the golden light racing higher with every heartbeat of the pendant. The air hummed with ancient power, vibrating through stone and flesh alike. Outside, the jungle roared. The cries of predators echoed as they surrounded the sanctuary, their bodies scraping against the walls, their blades striking sparks from the stone. The human explorer stood in the entrance, weapon raised, flashlight strapped to his chest. His body was tired, his lungs burned from the endless chase, but his eyes never wavered. Behind him, the tiny alien girl stood at the heart of the chamber, her small frame lifted slightly in the glow. The pendant pulsed like a sun, and her voice rang with a strength that seemed far too great for her small body. "The Eliari lived through light," she said, her voice echoing against the stone. "We shaped stars. We built worlds. But the jungle stole our gift, turned it into hunger. Now it hunts me because I carry the last spark." The human turned his head, watching her with steady eyes. She was no longer just a lost child. She was the last remnant of a fallen race, the guardian of a secret that could reshape galaxies. He could feel the truth in his bones. But the predators outside did not care for history or hope. They wanted blood. They wanted the crystal. The walls shook harder, cracks split the stone, a massive claw broke through, slicing into the chamber. The girl gasped, clutching the pendant tight. "They are too many. We cannot fight them all." The human stepped closer, placing himself between her and the wall. His voice was calm, steady, unshaken. "Listen to me. You are not alone now. They will not take you while I stand." Her glowing eyes widened. "But you are only one. They will tear you apart." He raised his weapon, his jaw tight. "Then let them try." The wall split open and the creatures poured in. Their limbs clattered, their mandibles clicked, their black eyes burned with hunger. They moved as one, an endless tide of blades. The human opened fire. The chamber lit with bursts of light as blasts tore into the first wave. The creatures fell, screeching, but more pressed forward. The floor shook under their weight. The walls cracked wider. Still he stood, firing, striking, refusing to fall back. The girl watched with awe, her pendant pulsing faster in time with his defiance. His courage struck something deep within her. Humanity was young compared to the Eliari, but here was proof of their strength. They did not bow to fear. They did not abandon the helpless. They stood, even when death closed in. "Why? Do you fight?" She cried over the screams. His voice was like iron. Because you need me. Because no one else will. Because this is what it means to be human. The words shook her. She lifted the pendant high, her small arms glowing with golden fire. The crystal flared, filling the chamber with blinding light. The creatures screamed as the light struck them, their bodies twisting and cracking. The jungle outside shrieked like a wounded beast. The human shielded his eyes but did not stop firing. The girl's power spread through the sanctuary, filling every crack in the stone, flooding the air with golden heat. The hunters faltered, their bodies breaking apart under the force. One by one they fell, shattering into dust that melted into the mist. At last, the roar of the jungle grew silent. The chamber stood still. Only the hum of the pendant remained, soft and steady. The girl collapsed to her knees, breathing hard, her silver hair falling over her face. The human rushed to her side, lowering his weapon, lifting her small frame into his arms. She was weak, but her eyes still glowed faintly as she looked up at him. "You stood when no one else would," she whispered. "You gave me what I thought was gone. Hope." The human held her close, his voice quiet but firm. "Then keep it. As long as you carry it, your people are not gone. Humanity will stand with you." The girl's lips trembled, but a small smile touched her face for the first time. She placed the pendant against his chest, letting its glow touch him. "The Eliari will remember. We will remember that when all others abandoned us, a human did not." The sanctuary dimmed as the pendant calmed, its golden fire sinking back into silence. Outside, the jungle lay quiet, its whispers gone, its hunters destroyed. For the first time, the night was still. The human stepped into the open, the girl resting in his arms, the dawn breaking through the mist. He looked out across the endless forest. The world was still dangerous, still wild, still ready to kill. But now it carried something else, proof that humanity could defy it. The girl rested her head against him, her voice soft as sleep claimed her. "You are different. Humans are different." He smiled faintly, his eyes hard with resolve. "Yes, and the galaxy will learn what that means." And with that, one human and one lost alien child walked forward together, carrying a light strong enough to defy the dark.